And so we thought we'd find out what it is and why someone might take part in mixed martial arts. And Priscus Fogagnolo, I know that I've said that wrongly, even though I tried it, is from Hybrid Training Centre and is a mixed martial artist and trainer and joins us now. Priscus, thanks for coming in.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Now, I know you're running around between training sessions, but tell us, first of all, how did you get involved in mixed martial arts?
Well, I've done high-level judo all my life, and you've seen you always wonder whether your martial art that you do could stand up to anything else, because you've got movie stars like Stallone and Van Damme, and they do boxing and kickboxing and things like that. And I thought, well, I'm this guy that wears pajamas and wrestles other guys on the mat. Is this a legitimate style? And this is a question all martial arts artists ask themselves. So I've decided to put my money where my mouth is, and I entered in my first MMA tournament on the Gold Coast back in 2005, and ended up winning. It was a very funny little promotion that I entered in that the rules aren't the normal rules that you have in our martial arts competition. And I won by what they termed throw out. So the ring had no edges, and I pushed him out of the ring 3 times and won, which is a very nice way to win, I think.
So tell us, for people who don't know, I mean, a lot of people would have seen mixed martial arts in one form, cage fighting on television, for example. Some people would have seen it live. How does it differ from, other sports such as boxing, for example, or wrestling?
Well, mixed martial arts implies pretty much what the name says. It's a multidiscipline, full contact sport where you have to, where there are many ways that you can take advantage of your skills in order to win. What a lot of people don't know, though, about mixed martial arts is that in an organised cage fight, there are more than 50 rules. There are 53, in fact. And when you enter a fight, you sign a contract which says that you understand all of these rules and what you are and aren't allowed to do in the cage.
I was going to say, people have said it's a bit like the closest thing that you can get to street fighting, because people aren't necessarily padded up to the same degree. You can use all different parts of your body. How does it feel? How did you feel when you took part in that first fight? I knew what the limitations of my own knowledge were, and I also knew what the limitations of other martial arts are. Strikers, they like range, and they need range to be able to perform their techniques. And I need to be very close. I need to be able to grab you to perform my techniques. So rather than a brutal exchange where people just throw a flurry of punches and it's very disorganised, an organised MMA competition becomes a very tactical match. And of course, adrenaline in every situation makes you do things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but it's an exchange where tactics are very, very important, and you're always trying to play to your strengths and the other person's weakness. How regulated is it? I mean, in terms of boxing, I know that young people coming into boxing, for example, have to reach a certain level of fitness before they're allowed to take part in any sparring or bouts. Is that the same with mixed martial arts, or can anyone just turn up and sign the contract?
Well, at the start, when the sport was very new, they just said, if you want to have a go, you can jump in and have a go. But still, there were this set of rules which you have to abide by in the ring. It's not a free-for-all, and there's still an element of control. Now, in place, there are what they call A-class rules fights, B-class rule fights, and C-class rules fights. Because MMA is becoming very popular, a lot of people want to walk in off the street. They said, I've seen this on television, I want to have a go. But these people have got no high level of fitness, no high level of grappling or striking ability, and probably no real grasp of the context other than when they sit on their own couches at home and have a beer. So, because of the popularity and people wanting to cash in on this experience, people tend to want to participate, and so that we have
their participation, they are the C-class rules tournaments or the B-class rules tournaments. So a person may have 1 or 2 or 3 C-class rules tournaments and he'll think that he's quite a competent character, and then he'll have a couple of B-class rules. And this is just the reason why you can't have B-class rules usually straight away is because you don't have the competency.
So is it more regulated at the C-class level?
That's exactly right. So they say you're not allowed to do any elbows at all to a standing or a grounded opponent, and it's basically like a kickboxing fight with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and submission techniques on the floor. So it's very safe and very easy to control the fight.
You say that it's becoming popular. Why do you think it's becoming popular?
I think it's the adrenaline. I think it's more people want to challenge themselves. We keep having thoughts in our society that we're becoming a society with, where software, computer games, things like this are becoming more and more of a stimulus. And I think that because we're losing the physicality of our lives, I think people are just finding other outlets. And I was
going to say, like in other extreme sports, for whether it's mountain biking or snowboarding and so on.
And different personalities suit different things. This is I think that MMA is the bungee jumping of contact sports.
So do you have, what sort of people come to you to be trained up?
All sorts, I'll be absolutely honest. But with my MMA class, I don't allow, unless it's special circumstances, I don't allow people to walk in off the street and just join MMA class. MMA requires you to have 4 elements as far as the philosophy and my understanding of martial arts goes. You have to have either proficiency in striking, or proficiency in grappling, proficiency in submission wrestling, or to be extremely fit. If you don't have one of these 4, I would advise anybody, please try our judo class, try our jiu-jitsu class, try the kickboxing class. When you have some kind of skill set that you can use, then you can come to the MMA class. I don't let people just join MMA class willy-nilly.
You said it's a very tactical thing, and I could see when you were saying that you're looking at your opponent wondering what are their strengths and how can I combat that, do they need a certain range? And you're marrying that against the adrenaline where you might just go and do things instinctively. What sort of discipline or mental discipline are you looking for in people?
This is a priority for me, and this is also another reason why I prefer people to do one of a subsection of martial arts, so that they have some kind of proficiency and I can actually watch them in training in a controlled environment where there are rules and see whether they follow the rules. I also get to see whether they have the adequate level of fitness, because apart from being a very, very skilled exchange of skills where you combat somebody in the ring, you need to be very, very fit and very, very strong. You have to be a very solid and capable athlete.
Well, in some ways we've described the techniques of it, the technical aspects, the controls. You still have organisations like the Australian Medical Association saying that it should be banned, and we should say too that they've got great concerns about boxing as well. In terms of researches of long-term injury and so on, what do you say to people like the Australian Medical Association?
Well, I think you have to have a look at the statistics. MMA, I have to be fair, MMA hasn't been around long enough to be able to draw any conclusions, but even so, I think that the amount of deaths and fatalities that happen in other contact sports, I don't want to single out boxing, I don't want to single out rugby union or rugby league, or other types of full contact karate or kickboxing or anything like that. If you do a full contact sport, you're going to get broken fingers, broken noses, broken elbows, twisted knees, toes. You're going to have hip injuries. You're going to tear biceps. You're going to tear hamstrings. You're going to tear parts of your body. It's not one thing which is worse than all of the others. If you compete at the elite level in a full contact sport, you're going to get injured.
When you compete at that top level, how much money can you make? Particularly somewhere, like if you take part in these events around Tasmania, are we looking at big prize money?
No. It's because you like the idea, you like the adrenaline, you like the challenge. There's a little bit of money to be made on the national scene, but most of the prize money is made in the US and Japan.
Is that where you'd like to go, or?
I'm a satisfied business owner in Hobart. I have the hybrid training centre with my business partner Adam Newton, and we're just up on 164 Murray Street. If you're interested in coming and having a look,
you can see it for yourself. So that's not an ad. You can actually go and see it for it.
But I don't need to compete at a high level, really high level. I've got no real massive ambitions to compete on the international level. If, however, a lucrative offer gets given to me, I'll take it. But we have to see what the future holds.
Just a final question, because I know you've got to go off to do some more training with some clients and so on. But someone on SMS said, look, at the end of the day, is there a difference between a sport like rugby union, rugby league, where you're essentially trying to score goals and so on, or tries, and cage fighting or MMA, where you're essentially trying to physically hurt someone?
There are ways of scoring points, and as far as people getting hurt in the ring, it's nowhere near as brutal as anybody knows. People get shown, because the media portrays it like this, they don't want to show the unscathed face of a person who has just lost, which is more often than not the case. They're only interested in seeing blood and injury. You might have a promotion where there are 12 fights. Maybe out of 12 fights, you might have one or two where boys might get a broken nose and a bleeding nose and a cut eye. There are 10 other fights which are usually policed so well by the referee that nobody gets injured. There are many rules, like I said, which the referee is looking out for, which cause these fights to be very well controlled and prevent injury to the athletes in the ring.
Interesting to talk to you. Thanks very much for coming in. And are you going to be part of this next round of...
I have one or two. The second athlete hasn't been confirmed yet at this stage, but I've got two athletes fighting in the